Peace to the 12. Today I'm going to do in this video, I'm going to prove who the 12 tribes of Israel are using the Bible. All right. First of all, we're going to go with Deuteronomy 28. You know, this is one of the most famous scriptures in proving, because we're going to go to the curses of Deuteronomy 28. All right. I'm going to start at 28:15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. All right, now we're about to get into the curses. And after I get into the curses, I'm going to get into color. But first, we're going to get into the curses, all right? And you tell me who this is of, all right? Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. You know. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me. All right. The Lord shall make pestilence cleave on to thee, until he have consumed thee from off the land, whither thou goest to possess it. The Lord shall smite thee with consumption, and with a fever, and with an inflammation, and with an extreme burning, and with the sword, and with blasting, and with mildew, and they shall pursue thee until thou perish. And thy heaven that is over thy head shall be brass, and the earth that is under thee shall be iron. The Lord shall make the rain of thy land powder, and dust from heaven shall it come down upon thee until thou be destroyed. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and the 7 ways before them, and shall be removed unto all kingdoms of the earth, scattered. All right. And thy carcass shall be meat unto the fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. What is this going into? This is going into people hanging from trees, and also people getting fed to alligators and etc. But that's another talk for another day. But that's what it means by we shall be meat for the fowls of the air. You know, they go and peck what's hanging. The Lord will smite thee with a botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch, where thou canst not be healed. And this itch, you know, it's psoriasis and eczema and stuff like that. You know, I have people in my family specifically that have this itch problem. You know, part of the curses. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. You know, and heart is really your mind. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways. And thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee. You know, no politician or nothing. No one's going to save the Israelite. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shall not gather the grapes thereof. All right. You know, we all know about the wife who gets taken by the slave master. Okay, the slaver. You know, and etc. And we all know about the things that were built that don't dwell in. The White House was built by slaves. Those who don't know. All right, now. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face, and shall not be restored to thee. Thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. This right here, thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes. This is going into, I'm sure you remember in school how the buffalo were just slain, basically damn near to the brink of extinction, you know, in the time of the Native Americans, you know. Anyway, let's go on. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. That's going with people getting separated from their families, you know. Israelites being separated from their families, you know, and even nowadays, you know, you got foster care and whatnot, But anyway, and also going into, in certain borders where they have certain kids being taken away from their parents. But the fruit of the land and all thy labor shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed away. All right. Once again, all these curses are befallen the Israelites. So once you find out who this is talking about, you know who the Israelites are. I'm not even going to put a color on it yet, even though I've made some hints. So that thou shalt be mad for the sight of thine eyes, which thou shalt see. The Lord shall smite thee in the knees and in the legs with a sore botch that cannot be healed from the sole of thy foot unto the top of thy head. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. All right. There you go. And I'll go ahead and answer and mention two things that Israel served heavy in these days now. The wood being the cross, the wooden cross of Christianity, and the stone being that rock in damn Islam, that rock they worship. I don't remember what it's called, but you brothers put that in the comments. But I'm gonna keep going. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. An astonishment, and the Israelites are definitely an astonishment, and a byword meaning a slur, and we, multiple slurs. Thou shalt carry much seed out into the field, and shalt gather but little in, for the locust shall consume it. Thou shalt plant vineyards and dress them, but shalt neither drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. Thou shalt have olive trees throughout all thy coast, but thou shalt not anoint thyself with the oil, for thine olive shall cast his fruit. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. So sons and daughters will be born, but then they just go into slavery immediately. Usually gets taken from their family, which goes back to another curse. But anyway, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. So the stranger that is within thee shall get up above the very high. That would be in a certain neighborhood where people move into that neighborhood and they prosper, while everyone around that neighborhood is in a low state. All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee. I already did that. My bad, Salak. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Meaning at the bottom. This goes back to the person that's above thee, the stranger. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee, till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes which he commanded thee. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So the whole reason these curses were even laid out is so they could be for a sign and a wonder, to prove who the Israelites are in the later days. All right? That's why I'm bringing this out. I started to go with this first before I go into the specifics of what they look like and the characteristics. All right? So let's keep going on. Bear with me here. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. Now watch this. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Now let me go ahead. Hold on a minute. Let me go ahead and get this, because this is a yoke of iron. All right. I had to get this. A slave collar. All right, that's what they call it. A yoke of iron upon their neck. You see that? Let me get a couple images in here, man. You see that? Look at that. All right, now let me go back. I'm kind of spoiling some things, but I just had to. The spirit. That's the spirit. But anyway, a yoke of iron upon thy neck. All right, you see that? The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. All right. That eagle is a hint. But anyway, a nation of fierce countenance which shall not regard the person of the old, nor shall the favor to the young. You're not going to regard either one. A true enemy. And he shall eat the fruit of thy cattle and the fruit of thy land until thou be destroyed, which also shall not leave thee either corn, wine, or oil, or the increase of thy kind, or the flocks of thy sheep, until he have destroyed thee. And corn was a big crop, for natives in certain regions, but certain Aboriginal people. But I'm gonna keep going. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates until thy high and fenced walls come down, wherein thou trustest throughout all the land. And he shall besiege thee in all thy gates throughout all the land which the Lord thy God hath given thee. And thou shalt eat the fruit of thine own body, the flesh of thy sons and thy daughters, which the Lord thy God hath given thee, in the siege and the straitness whereof thy enemies shall distress thee. So that the man is tender among you and very delicate. And his eyes shall be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. All right. So this is going into the man who ends up leaving his children, his children which he shall leave. And his evil eye towards his brother, wanting to kill each other, so that he will not give to any of them of the flesh of his children whom he shall eat, because he hath nothing left him in the siege and in the straitness, whereas thine enemy shall distress thee in all thy gates, So he leaves his children. He don't give them no food or any of that, man. Let's get here. The tender and delicate woman among you, which would not have ventured to set the sole of her foot upon the ground for delicateness and tenderness, her eye shall be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son, and toward her daughter. So now you got the mama, she's got an evil eye towards their son and their daughter and their man. All right, how many people that y'all know have a so-called mom, a mother of children, and she hates her son because he looks like the father, or she might get jealous of her daughter, and belittle her. But anyway, I'm going to stop when we get to verse 68. And toward her young one that cometh out from between her feet, and toward her children which she shall bear, for she shall eat them for want of all things secretly in the siege of straitness, whereas thine enemy shall distress thee in thy gates. If thou wilt not observe to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that thou mayest fear this glorious and fearful name, the Lord thy God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, then the Lord will make thy plagues wonderful, and the plagues of thy seed even great plagues, and of long continuance, and sore sickness, and of long continuance. All right. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. This is going to all these different diseases, sickle cell, but a lot of other stuff. But that's another video for another day. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in the book of the law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. And ye shall be left few in number, whereas ye were as the stars of heaven of multitude, because thou wouldest not obey the voice of the Lord thy God. And it shall come to pass that as the Lord rejoiceth over you to do you good and to multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and to bring you to naught, and ye shall be plucked from off the land whither thou goest to possess it. All right. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And among these nations shall find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest, but the Lord shall give thee a trembling heart, and failing of eyes, and sorrow of mind. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. And that goes into people that are, they say, I could just get killed for being who I am, In the morning thou shalt say, would God it were even, and in even thou shalt say, would God it were morning. For the fear of thine heart heareth thou shalt fear, and for thy sight of thine eyes which thou shalt see. All right. I'm gonna stop at 68, but I recommend this whole chapter. Oh, never mind. That's it. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondman and bondwoman, and no man shall buy you. And this word buy really means redeem. No man shall save you. All right, and bring thee into Egypt again. Let me go ahead and get something right here. To go with that. This isn't really. This is just something in my mind. All right, spiritual Egypt. Oh, I spelled that wrong. Sorry. Egypt. Sodom. KJV. Alright, Revelation 11:18. Let's get that. Alright. I'm hearing the echo now. I hope y'all don't hear it, but anyway. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So right there is spiritual Egypt, So go back to here, where it says, shall bring thee into Egypt again. That's the Egypt it's talking about. But anyway, now let's put a color on it. All right, let's put a region on it too, on who the 12 tribes of Israel are. All right, let's start here. This is one of my favorites. All right, this is Acts 13:1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that was called Niger, and Lucius and Cyrene. All right, but this is where I was looking for. That was called Niger. All right, you see this word? Now let's go to the dictionary. Niger, black, a surname of Simeon. He was probably so called from his dark complexion. All right, so Niger is synonymous with black. Now watch this. Let's get this right here. Let's go to etymology. Niger, African nation, named for the river Niger, mentioned by that name in the 1520s. All right, Latin, Niger, black. Translated in Arabic. But anyway. Nigeria, Western African nation. Mandingo. People of the upper Niger region of West Africa. Etc. But that's right there. Now watch this. That's not what I'm looking for. It's a lot. It's a man right here named Kenneth the Niger. All right, let's see who that is. Kenneth III of Scotland. All right. The chief, or the Brown, was king of Scots from 997 to 1005 A.D. He was the son of Dub. Many of the Scots sources refer to him as Grick, son of Kenneth, son of Dub, which is taken to be an heir. But anyway, point is, this nickname, this is Kenneth III of Scotland. Kenneth the Niger, man. Now let's see what this man looks like. Man. I don't really have an image, so I'll just go to images, man. You see that? This is Kenneth the Niger, quote unquote, man. You see that? Let me go ahead and see. This is called African roots, right? Right there. Kenneth the Niger, or Kenneth the Dub, surname, which means the black man. All right? Let's go get more scriptures, I got more than just that. All right? The word black. Let's go here. Let's get Job 30. Where is it at? Job 30:30. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burned with heat. Songs of Solomon 1. I am black, but comely, O ye daughters of Jerusalem, as the tents of Kedar, as the curtains of Solomon. All right. You see that? I am black, but beautiful. That's what comely means. All right. And I believe the word black is Kedar anyway. You know. Let's go. Let me go to that real quick. You know, I'll do a lesson on that later anyway. I kind of want to keep going for sake of time. Where are we at? All right. Lamentations 5 and 10. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. All right. You know, let's keep this thing going. You know, this is not just to say that all the tribes of Israel were black, because I'm gonna get to something in a minute. You know, showing you who other people are that are Israel. Let me see if I can get some more in here before I leave. I guess I'll get this, you know, just describing the hair. His head is the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. You know, black hair, bushy locks. But anyway, you know, Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the city and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Now watch this. You know, matter of fact, I got this one. I believe I pulled it up right before I started the video. You see this word visage? Let's get Lamentations 4 and 8. Their visage is blacker than a coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered. It is become like a slick. Or like a stick. Pardon me. You see this word visage? Watch this. Visage definition. All right, visage, the face or facial expression of a person's countenance, appearance, aspect, you know, appearance. Their face was black, man. You know, pardon me, I didn't mean to do that. The face, usually the reference to shape, features, expressions. All right, that's what visage means. So when it says their visage is black, that's plain. But I just wanted to get that. Now I'm gonna get something else that's in the Apocrypha, Second Esdras. And for those of you who don't know, if you have a King James 1611 Bible, the Apocrypha is still in it, or you can get an Apocrypha separately. And we're gonna go to Second Esdras chapter 13, verse 40. All right. This is gonna describe the other tribes. You know, those are. Oh, hold on. Yeah. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea, the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt. So they went to a whole nother country, a whole nother land, where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by narrow places of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. All right, so they went to a land that no one's ever been to. So by process of elimination, they didn't go to the Middle East. They'd already been in the Middle East. They didn't go to Asia. Already been to Asia. They didn't go to Africa. We came from Africa, from Egypt, you know. So we didn't go there. So what landmass did we go to? Or what landmass did these 10 tribes go to? North America, South America, and Central America. The Americas, man. That's where they went. So this is going into the Native Americans and so-called Latinos, man. All right. There you go. All right, let's get a couple pictures on that. Let's see if I can get some. You see that? This would be the people that went to that land. All right. See this man right here? you know, and so many more, man, you know. And that's why I didn't want to focus much on colors per se, because you are who your father is. So there's a lot of people that are still Israelites that don't have the really dark black complexion anymore. All right, you see that? I'm just pulling up some images, you know, proving my point. But you know, that's pretty much it on that. See if there's anything else I would want to touch on. You know, as a matter of fact, let me get this before I forget. You know, in this verse right here, Acts 21 and 38, you know, they're talking to the Apostle Paul, and they say, "Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made us an uproar and led us out into the wilderness 4,000 men that were murderers?" So these people thought that Paul was an Egyptian. All right, now let's see who the Egyptians are. You know, let me go ahead and get that. Go ahead and get that. See who the Egyptians are. Bear with me. I know this one. All right. Chief Tabernacles of Ham. So they thought that Paul was an Egyptian. Keep that in your mind. All right. All right. Psalm 78:51. Psalms 78:51 KJV. Watch this. All right. All right. Let's get that. And smote all the firstborn in Egypt, the chief of their strength, in the tabernacles of Ham. All right. The tabernacles of Ham. So they thought that Paul was a Hamite. You know. Now let's see who a Hamite is according to this here in this internet. All right, Hamites. Let's go to images. You see this? These are Hamites. All right. You know, these are Hamites. You know, and this person knows what's up. They say blacks, Negroes are not Hamites, and they're correct. You know, but anyway, they thought Paul looked like these people, man. You know, so they thought Paul was an Egyptian who was a Hamite. So the people that you see in Egypt right now are not the same anyway. You know, so there's that. You know, I'll probably end up doing more series to this. You brothers can put comments to help prove this point even more in the comment section, you know. But, you know, that's all. That's it on that. Point being, these are the real 12 tribes of Israel, you know, in the Bible, man. And with that, I'm going to say peace to the 12 and all praises, glory, and credit to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, who is known as the Most High God and who the world calls Jesus Christ as Yahweh Shai. All right, peace.